Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Chad here with another In the OT podcast for BetHub Sports Blog. Today, we will be breaking down the Eastern Conference semifinals for the NBA in this year's 2012 playoffs, and we will start with the favorites, the Miami Heat, and nobody could ever imagine them losing this series here against the Indiana Pacers, and the odds makers have definitely made a statement by making them minus 700 favorites. And I believe that they are worthy of being that high of a favorite because of the fact that they really are just that much better than this Pacers team, that despite the fact that I really do like what they've accomplished this year and they do have tremendous upside. And the predominant reason for that is because when Miami is playing at their best, there aren't too many teams that are going to be able to compete with them. Maybe a couple in the Western Conference, but most assuredly nobody left in the Eastern Conference will be able to. And when you look back to last series, I thought maybe some of the things that would have made them have some trouble with New York is the fact that they had a couple of scorers that could maybe, get some points and match LeBron and Wade. Well, that wasn't the case because their defense stepped up and played outstanding. I thought maybe they'd be a little bit lethargic, be passive, take things for granted, and maybe not play as hard as they needed to at all times against New York. Well, that wasn't the case, and it appears that this team is extremely motivated and focused right now, and they will not be letting their guard down at any point during the playoffs like they maybe did in the regular season when they were screwing around at times. So a fully motivated Miami team, I just don't understand what Indiana has in store to try to defend LeBron and Wade. And for everybody that rips LeBron, and I'm definitely guilty of that for his lack of clutchness in the fourth quarter of games in the finals last year, he's still been pretty damn good in the playoffs throughout his career, in particular in the earlier rounds of the playoffs when there's less pressure on him, and I expect that to continue here. I mean, I don't know, what are they going to put Danny Granger on him, DeHonte Jones? He will just eat them for breakfast. He can drive the ball to the paint on them. He's starting to shoot a little bit better from the outside. And Granger, who was once one of the top 5-10 scorers in the league, has seen his offense completely drop off the last 3 years, going from 24 points a game to 20 points a game to 18 points a game. So I understand that he's buying into more of the team concept and they have more depth and balance, which does sort of change that dynamic of his ability offensively and what he's contributed. But nonetheless, he's not as dynamic as he once was. So I think that takes away from the Pacers having that sort of true go-to guy that you can rely on to get that clutch basket at the end of the game, which Miami definitely has between LeBron and Wade. And when it comes to Wade, what are they going to do? Put Paul George on him? I love Paul George. He's young, he's athletic, he's got tremendous upside, but he's no Dwayne Wade. You look at those 2-3 positions, and it is a huge mismatch, and there's not anybody in the NBA that can come close to matching that, and it ain't going to be this Indiana Pacers team. Now, I do like the Pacers, and I don't think they're going to get swept. I think they do win at least one game, if not two. And the reason for that is they do have a massive advantage down in the paint with Roy Hibbert and David West, Tyler Hansbrough off the bench. They're very scrappy. They get after a lot of loose basketballs. Not to say that Miami doesn't, but I think Indiana Pacers are a little bit better in that category, in particular Roy Hibbert. I don't know what Miami has in store in terms of trying to defend him. Joel Anthony, Ronnie Turiaf, maybe Haslam. He's still a 7-footer, 250, 270 pounds that has more skill than any of those guys and should be able to get some easy looks. And for David West, he's pretty much the same as Chris Bosh, in my opinion. It's an argument that could probably go both ways if you talk to a lot of basketball experts. But that pretty much is a wash right then and there. And then at the guard position, Collison is so inconsistent and so erratic, it's really tough to get a full read on exactly what he is going to bring to the court. And, Mario Chalmers, you can pretty much put in the same category there. So there's really not that much of an advantage. And when it comes to the benches here, the Pacers do have a couple players like Leandro Barbosa and Jones, but they really don't have a lot of scoring ability off the bench. And they don't have that many dynamic players, where I think Miami might actually hold a little bit of an edge there. When you look at guys like Shane Battier, who can come in and be that defensive specialist. Same thing with Udonis Haslam and the sharpshooter Mike Miller. So I see that being an advantage for Miami. And also for Indiana, I don't really see them being a good three-point shooting team. And when Miami's that damn good defensively, there's going to be zero lanes for them to drive into. So the only way to open up the game a bit is shoot from the outside, which I see them having troubles with. A very hard fighting team here, but to Frank Vogel in his first year in the playoffs, Not exactly someone that will probably be able to outcoach Eric Spoelstra. So this Miami team is too good, and they aren't losing in this series here. So I'll make my prediction: the Miami Heat in 6 games as they roll here. And from a betting perspective, I will be looking to probably play more on the Heat on the road when they're a shorter favorite than they are at home. But you know what? In Game 1, I think maybe it might be worth the play because Indiana could just be overwhelmed by the setting here, being in the second round for the first time in a while. And 8.5 points, I can see a double-digit win right off the bat here. And I'd also lean to a lot of the unders in these games because we've seen how much Indiana struggled to score against Orlando. Just imagine against Miami's defense, and Indiana plays pretty good scrappy defense as well. Anytime we're getting totals, above 185, I'm looking to go under. So that is the way I see the Miami Heat series with the Indiana Pacers playing out. And now we will break down the Boston Celtics taking on the Philadelphia 76ers in the other Eastern Conference semifinals series. And I like the Boston Celtics here simply because of the fact that they are a more veteran ball club. And this Philadelphia 76ers team here got a bit of a break, having the Chicago Bulls lose 2 of their best players. And even if just Rose was healthy, there's no way they would have lost that series. And if Noah could have played the last couple of games, it could have been different altogether. And the main reason here is this veteran team, they just know how to win, and they're not going to be fazed by this young, athletic 76ers team, because when you look at it from a matchup standpoint, Boston just straight up better at almost every single position. They have a huge advantage of point guard, Rajon Rondo over Drew Holiday, and I'm not disputing the fact that, Drew Holiday isn't very good. He's a great young up-and-coming point guard, and he's got tremendous upside, but we all know that Rajon Rondo is a top 5 point guard in this league. He's a facilitator, he's outstanding defensively, and he's just going to give you more on a nightly basis and be more consistent than someone like a Drew Holiday will. And then when you look at what Paul Pierce has been able to do, even at this age, the guy is still a baller. He's going to get you, the 17, 18 points a game that you need out of him and be the predominant perimeter scorer for this team. And that's an area where the Sixers really do lack sometimes, and they don't have a true identity in terms of someone that they can rely on. Iguodala, the guy is very good athletically, but I just see so many times where he just sort of goes in these lulls and just can't get it going. So I think that we could see some of that issue reoccurring here in this series. And also, on top of that, defensively, it's a huge advantage for Boston. Just even looking at that block he had tonight on Horford when he went into the paint on him, that's just fantastic. Great way to come back on help defense there. And then you look at what KG is doing, just an absolute veteran down in the paint. They sort of got him playing in the 5. But that could work for them because, this Philadelphia team here isn't exactly built on being a low-post dominating team. Spencer Hawes and Elton Brand, not too bad options. Both of them, if they can get their jumpers going, they can stretch the defense a little bit out and come out. But that's the same thing which what Boston does as well. And I look at someone like Brandon Bass. I think he's got a little bit more mass and size. I think he can play Elton Brand pretty even in this series. And I also believe that there's a huge advantage there with KG going up against Spencer Hawes. Ray Allen, who knows what we can get out of him with the injuries that we've had. But Avery Bradley's shown that he's a very capable fill-in, a bit younger, a bit more athletic at this point in time, a little bit more of a slasher. And Michael Petrus, a pretty good bench player as well. And when you look at Philadelphia, they do have a lot of options with their roster. That's one thing that I've liked with them. They can really throw many different looks at you, bringing in guys like Lou Williams, Jody Meeks off the bench. Sam Young doesn't really play all that much. Thaddeus Young, a bit of an athletic guy as well. But I just think that Boston's straight up better at all the positions. They're more of a veteran team. I think Philadelphia could maybe let their guard down a little bit here after overachieving this year and winning that series against Chicago that nobody really thought they would, given what happened with the prior to the Rose injury. And even many people, including myself, thought when he went down that, look how well Chicago played without him. They should still be able to beat a team that was extremely inconsistent. They struggled all year long against the top-notch teams in the league. The only time that they really performed well was against bottom feeders. That is not the case here with this Celtics team. Doc Rivers is an absolute mastermind with coaching. I love what Doug Collins has done this year, but that's also a huge advantage. And you can't take away the home court, too. This Celtics team on their home floor in the playoffs is nothing short of phenomenal, and I just don't see Philadelphia going up there and winning any games, but I do see them winning 1 or 2 at home. So I will take the Boston Celtics to win this series in 6 games, like I did with the Miami Heat. So that's breaking down the overall Eastern Conference semifinals. We expect to see here a Heat-Celtics finals. and we'll break it down if that should happen. And if there's any upsets with the other two teams, well, then we'll have to take it from there. Once again, Chad here with another In the OT podcast for BetUpSportsBlog.com. Make sure to come back and check out the Western Conference breakdowns for the NBA, but we are still awaiting the outcome of this Lakers-Denver series and the Clippers and Memphis before we can get those matchups set in stone.